You will now listen to my voice. I will count to 10. When I reach 10, you will transport to a new reality. A reality, listener, that I'm creating just for you. 1. Relax. Do not overthink. Clear your mind. White. See white. White. 2. I am your guide. 3. When you raise your hands to your face, you will see your hands. When you look at the steel walls in your new room, you will see steel walls. 4. When I describe noise, you will hear noise. 5. This is your new reality. 6. I am your companion. 7. Only I know where you're going. 8. Only I can get you out. 9. You will dream. 10. You are entering the new reality. 10. You are entering the new reality. 10. You are entering the new reality. 10. A globe of light hovers at your feet. 10. The globe of light rises up your legs into your belly. 10. Your belly is warm. 10. The warmth and the light spreads throughout your body. 10. Everything inside you is light. Close your eyes. 10. 10. 10. You are floating. A man's voice echoes over a crackling address system. Welcome. Keep your eyes closed. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Open your eyes, but only in your mind. You are in a square steel room. The floor is steel, and the 4 walls are steel. The ceiling is 12 feet above you and blinding, and it does not flicker, and you feel its weight on your shoulders. Scratched into one of the steel walls in your steel room is a message written in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, scratched in crudely, as if by the sharp edge of a rock. You view the message from 6 feet away. You see a snake, then a scene of a ceremony you don't understand, then 2 birds close together, scratched into the steel wall with violence and urgency, like graffiti. Your heart flutters. A tone blares. The lights go out. You're in total darkness. An eerie green light glows behind you. You turn around. A message illuminates the top right corner of the steel wall behind you. The message is in bright green. Reset. The message hangs in the screen for 2 seconds and then goes dark for 2 seconds. It repeats this sequence 7 times. The tone blares and your eyes squeeze shut on their own and you cannot open them. Your limbs feel light and you fall into a dream like a television switching channels. Silence. The musky smell of old books. Your eyes open and you can see again. Shelves of books line you on either side. You slowly walk down the aisle and run your fingers over the spines of the books. The books are different sizes and different states of disrepair, but they all have the same dark red cover. You pull one of the books from the shelf and open it. Inside, the pages are littered with worn-off chunks of pencil eraser. You flip through the pages. The words in the book have been erased. You close the book and put it on the shelf. You take another book. It is a different size, but the cover is the same deep red. You open the book. The words have been erased. You drop the book on the floor and pull another off the shelf. Then another. Then another. All the words on all the pages of all the books have been erased. You leave them at your feet and exit the aisle. Set in the middle of the library is your grandfather's living room. Your grandfather, listener. Yours. Your grandfather. Your grandfather's living room is surrounded by aisles of books in a circle. His carpet is as you remember it. You inhale and smell your grandfather's home. This is your grandfather's living room, and it is in the middle of the library. You scan the room and you see the pictures on the walls that you haven't thought about in years. You see them, and you remember them. This is your grandfather, listener, sitting in his chair in his living room in the middle of the library in your dream. Your grandfather is bent over, scrawling furiously in a wired notebook with a red pen. You slowly approach him. The wood beneath the carpet creaks with every step. Your grandfather does not react. He's writing violently, scratching into the paper. You open your mouth and whisper to him, but the dream does not let you speak. Around your shoulders and in your ears you feel an ominous, twisting sensation that you should not speak to your grandfather. You are in front of him. Your grandfather scribbles in a trance. He does not blink. You carefully pinch the wired notebook and pull it out of your grandfather's hands. Your grandfather continues to write in the air as if the notebook is still in front of him, clasped in his hands. Your grandfather begins to moan without opening his lips. Your grandfather's moaning becomes desperate. You bring the notebook to your face. Written over and over again in red ink, over and over again, is the word you. Y-O-U. You, in your grandfather's handwriting. It's the handwriting on the birthday cards you got as a child. The handwriting you saw on old shopping lists when you last visited, or when you cleaned out his house after he died. The handwriting from signed checks and on envelopes. You. Over and over again, up the margins, forwards, backwards. You. In block letters, in uppercase, in lowercase. A tone blares throughout the library. Your grandfather continues to moan. The tone blares again. It's the tone from the steel room. Jump, jump, jump. The lights start going out in the library. Jump, jump, jump. The darkness approaches you. The tone blares. Jump, jump, jump. More lights go out. The darkness is coming for you. Jump, jump, jump. One light stays on, like a spotlight, over you and your grandfather. He looks up at you. His eyes are wild. Tears stream down his face. He pulls at his cheeks. He's scared and you cannot touch him. Jump. The final light goes out. The tone blares. The dream ends, and you're back in the steel room. The light hums in the steel room. Now, on the wall, is the word you, followed by ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics of a scene of a ceremony you don't understand, then two birds close together. You. The word you is imprinted into the wall as if by a heavy machine. It has replaced the hieroglyph of the snake. The tone blares. The lights briefly turn off. A spotlight is projected on the wall next to you. You turn. A metallic chugging noise echoes through the room and vibrates the ground. A rusty whining noise splits your eardrums. The steel wall in front of you begins to rise. It slides up 1 foot every minute, slowly revealing a pane of glass. As the wall rises, you see tiny feet walking around on the other side. As the wall rises, you see tiny knees and tiny thighs in shorts. These are the legs of a child. As the wall rises, you see a child's belly pushing out behind a shirt. As the wall rises, you see the child's arms. They sway back and forth as the child paces around the room. The wall rises, and you see the face of the child. The child is you, listener, as you were as a child. It is the you have seen in pictures. The cheeks, the hair, the eyes, the gait. The child, the once you, paces around the room. You run to the glass and pound crazily, bruising the heels of your palms. but the child cannot hear you. The tone blares throughout the room. The child's room goes dark. The tone blares again. An eerie green light glows behind you. You turn around. A message illuminates the top right corner of the steel wall. The message is in bright green. Reset. The message hangs on the screen for 2 seconds and then goes dark for 2 seconds. It repeats this sequence 7 times. The tone blares and your eyes squeeze shut on their own and you cannot open them. Your limbs feel light and you fall into a dream like a television switching channels. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. You are in darkness. A light breeze blows, rolling over your skin, leaving goosebumps. Your chest shivers and tightens. You cannot see, but you feel enormous space around you. You put your hand out in front of you and spread your fingers. You make a circle in the air, but your hand touches nothing. In the distance, a door creaks open. After a moment, the door shuts. You feel a cold breeze wrap around your hand. The space around you is so big, it's impossible. On the left side of your neck, behind and below your left ear, you feel a tingling sensation. Your senses are immediately put on guard. Listener, feel your heart thump. Feel your mouth go dry. You sense a presence in this place, and it is near. On the count of 3, you will quickly turn to take the presence by surprise. 1, 2, 3. You turn with your hands in front of you, but you are immediately blinded by a flash of light. You bend over and blink the afterimage out of your eyes. In the afterimage is a shadow of a man. You blink it away. Your vision slowly comes back into focus. You're in the middle of a department store, listener. It is gigantic. Chandeliers line the high ceiling in infinite rows. If there are walls, they're too far away to be seen. Displays of mannequins surround you. They have been carefully arranged to depict scenes in an endless field of dioramas. The mannequins look familiar. You look closer. The mannequins are plastic replicas of your father, listener. The mannequins emit no level of detail. To your right is a mannequin of your father, posed and dressed in the exact same way he looks in the first photograph you saw of him with your mother. Ahead of you is a mannequin of your father as a boy. He's sitting alone at a lunch table from a school cafeteria. Wax food sits on a tray in front of him. He's lonely. He rests his chin on his hands. To your left is a replica of the car your family had when you were young. A mannequin of your father is in the driver's seat, hands on the wheel, staring forward. Talk, talk, talk. You hear footsteps. Talk, talk, talk. They are footsteps of a person taking their time, like they're thoughtfully walking through a museum. Your eye catches the figure walking through the displays of mannequins. You call out, but the figure does not respond. You follow the footsteps. Talk, talk, talk. You come up behind a man in a blue suit with his hands clasped behind his back. He slowly inspects the dioramas. You call, but he does not turn around. You reach out to grab the back of his suit, but your hand goes through it. Like the man is a hologram. You step around the man and face him. It is your father, listener. Listener, the man in front of you is your father. He stops. He furrows his eyebrows. He sees you, but he looks through you. You and your father are surrounded by dioramas depicting all the scenes of his life. Your father's face hangs low. Your father's face is very sad. You can feel his sadness. He puts his hand on your shoulder to balance himself. You cannot feel his hand. He is a hologram. He shifts his weightless weight and sits on the floor. Your father stretches his legs out in front of him and folds his hands in his lap. You sit down next to him. Your father turns to you. His eyes are glass. He is no longer a hologram. His cheeks begin to expand, like they're filling up with air. He reaches into his mouth and pulls out a turquoise robin's egg. He hands it to you. Your father's hand is plastic. His face is plastic. Your father has become a mannequin. You take the robin's egg between your pointer finger and thumb and crack it open on the floor. Inside is a strip of paper, the kind of paper you find in a fortune cookie. You unfold it. It has one word: cannot. C-A-N-N-O-T. Cannot. The word fills you with panic. You grab your father's hand for comfort, but it's cold. It's plastic. His eyes are glass and his face is painted on. 3 chimes play in a row over an unseen PA system in the department store. A voice echoes throughout the giant room. It's distorted. It's terrifying. The tone blares. You will now return to your room. Your dream ends and you are back in the steel room. On the steel wall in the steel room, the new word is imprinted over the hieroglyph of the ceremony you could not understand. The message now says, "You cannot," followed by a hieroglyph of 2 birds close together. Behind the glass on the other side of the room, you, as a child, sleep, curled on the floor. You walk to the steel wall and run your hand over the message. You feel where it's been pressed into the steel. You rub your fingers over the remaining hieroglyphs. The remaining carving of the 2 birds is fading. A loud metallic clang reverberates throughout the room, followed by a whirring noise. The steel wall to your right begins to rise, revealing a pane of glass behind it. It rises faster than before, and soon the whole wall is glass. Behind the glass is a Victorian parlor. It's lit with the faint, sickly yellow of sodium vapor lights. A large door is set in the back wall. Portraits in dark wooden frames hang on the walls that are covered in burgundy wallpaper. In each portrait is a painting of yourself at the age you are now. Your eyes are closed in every portrait, and you have no mouth. The only furniture in the room is a mahogany chair. It faces you head on. The door opens. A perfect double of you at the age you are now, listener, enters the room holding a candle. You watch yourself gently shut the door. Your double wears a heavy velvet robe and clenches its collar together with its left hand. The double approaches you. Your double cautiously stops at the glass and looks through. You move your head to the right. Your double moves its head to the right. You move forward. Your double moves forward. You lock eyes with your double. The hair on the back of your neck stands up. Your double sighs and looks at the floor. It turns and sits in the chair in the middle of the room. Your double stays seated, staring at you in its Victorian room with a glass wall. It holds its velvet collar shut in its left hand and holds the candle with its right. The tone blares through the steel room. The Victorian room goes dark, lit only by the flickering candle in its hand. Then, the whole steel room goes dark. The tone blares again. An eerie green light glows behind you. You turn around. A message illuminates the top right corner of the steel wall. The message is in bright green. Reset. The message hangs on the screen for 2 seconds, then goes dark for 2 seconds. It repeats this sequence 7 times. The tone blares, and your eyes squeeze shut on their own, and you cannot open them. Your limbs feel light, and you fall into a dream like a television switching channels. You hear the clang, chunk to chunk to chunk of a train, and see a scratched window, and hear doors opening, and hear doors closing, and hear the train engine starting up, and hear the woof of train cars pushing air through underground tunnels, and you see intermittent flashing lights as the train speeds by. You are alone in the subway car. You exhale. Now there is a woman sitting on the bench across from you. She's familiar to you. Her head is down. She has her palms open on her lap like she's reading a book, but there is no book in her hands. You take short breaths and you feel dizzy. The woman across from you raises her head with her eyes shut. You look at her face. The woman is your mother. Your mother, listener. She is your mother. She pantomimes closing the invisible book and holds it above her shoulder with her right hand. Her eyes remain closed. Your mother raises her hand over her heart and holds up 2 fingers like the Christ. She brings her hand to her mouth and puts her pointer finger against her lips. Your mother's eyes open wide, but she has no pupils, no irises. Your mother's eyes are bright white, glossed over. She blinks, and her irises and pupils return. Ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk. The subway car speeds faster. Lights start flashing from outside the window, pulsing through the train car. Your mother gives you a cautious, encouraging smile. She points at the ground and slides off the bench. Your mother lays on her belly and motions for you to join her. You are too afraid to move. She scowls, conveying extreme urgency. The lights outside the train car flash so rapidly that there appears to be one single light encompassing the car. It envelops the whole train. It is white, like a movie screen, wrapped around the subway cars. In one movement, your mother grabs your ankle and pulls you to the ground. You slip off the bench and bounce off the ground. You hit your funny bone, and the pain rattles up the right side of your body. Ka-chunk, ka-chunk. The train speeds ever faster. Everything vibrates. Your mother motions for you to lie flat. You lie flat. You look up out the windows. You see an eyeball projected on the white screen that surrounds the train. It reminds you of a theme park ride, but implacably terrifying. The eye calmly travels up the outside of the car, down to the back, and back to the middle. It scans the benches, but cannot see you from the outside. Your mother inches forward on her elbows in an army crawl. She turns around and nods, motioning for you to follow her. You follow your mother as the eye slides up and down outside the windows. You are at your mother's side. You can feel her breathing heavily. You pant along in the same rhythm. A deafening screech cuts through the car, and your mother motions for you to look down at the floor. You disobey and look outside the train car. Outside the car, a grainy video of you at the first birthday party you can remember has replaced the eye. There is no sound, just the ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk of the speeding train. Your face on the screen looks huge, like you're in the front row of a movie theater. Your mother grabs your head and forces you to stare at the ground. There is another screech. Your mother begins to crawl again. You follow her. The eye is back, scanning up and down from outside the car. It's moving faster. The eye darts up and down from side to side. Another eye appears. It joins the search from the other side, scanning the car. They are looking for you, listener. The eyes are looking for you. Your mother stops and points to the ground, but you continue to watch the projection surrounding the train. The eyes cut away and are replaced with a new moving image. A grainy video of your first kiss plays. You remember the moment, the sensation, the smells, the excitement. Your mother's hand grabs your wrist as she pulls you up to a crouch. There's a screech. Tens of eyes now dart up and down looking into the subway car. Your mother moves faster, crouched towards the exit. There's an ear-splitting screech, like 10,000 trumpets blaring at once. The eyes have found you. They lock in on you. They come close. Your mother rises to her feet and pulls you along. You sprint to the end of the train car. A red, illuminated exit sign flashes above the door that will lead you out of the train. All of the windows in the train car burst open. The eyes bum rush the train and start squeezing in. The membranes of the eyes rub against the window panes, making a noise like a hand rubbing on a balloon. They squeeze you close to your mother. Your mother pushes you in front of her. She places her hand on your left shoulder and lifts herself up. She rips the exit sign off the top of the door and puts it in your hands, then kicks you out of the train. The eyes surround her. She's sucked inside of them, like getting pulled into a blob. She screams as the eyes consume her. You fall towards the tracks, air rushing over you when the tone blares and all goes black. Your dream ends and you're back in the steel room. You sit on the floor of the steel room, legs crossed. To your left, you, as a child, has its hands pressed against the glass. The child stares at the front of the room. To your right, your double in the Victorian room has its hands against the glass. It stares at the front of the room. The hieroglyphs are no longer there. They have been replaced with 3 English words. The words chill you. Your spine quivers. You lean forward and scream. You scream from the bottom of your stomach. You scream until it feels like your lungs will burst. You scream until you feel you will spit blood. The hieroglyphs have been replaced with a message. You cannot exit. Your vision tunnels, but your screaming stops you from passing out. The floor vibrates. The room shakes. Your bones rattle. In the back of the room, the 3rd steel wall shudders and rises to the ceiling. It reveals a pane of glass. Shaking, you approach the window. Behind the glass are infinite rows of white hospital beds. They disappear into the distance. The room goes on unto infinity. Replicas of you lie in each white bed, their bodies tucked tight. Their heads rise out from the blankets. Tubes go in and out of each of your replicas' mouths. They're hooked up to machines encased in glass. The machines have bellows that rise up and down like accordions, wheezing as they go. Between each row of beds, automatons in doctors' coats, just barely inhuman, slide up the tracks. Up and down, up and down. Into infinity and back, bent over the beds. You pound the glass with the heels of your palms. You scream. The double of you as a child screams. Your double in the Victorian room screams. The tone blares. The lights flicker. The tone blares again. The lights go out. An eerie green light glows behind you. You turn around. A message illuminates the top right corner of the steel wall, where you cannot exit is written. The message is in bright green. Reset.
This story must be told.